Advisory. Some episodes of the 1836 podcast are not intended for all audiences due to details that might be considered disturbing. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This episode of the 1836 podcast shares the complex and controversial life and death of world heavyweight boxing champion Sonny Liston. In the hot fields of Sand Slough, Arkansas, Charles Sonny Liston was born around 1930 under a shroud of uncertainty. The exact date of his birth remains a mystery, a fitting prelude to a life defined by ambiguity and struggle. Born into a sharecropping family, the 25th of 26 children, Sonny's early years were etched with hardship. His father, Tobe Liston, was a harsh man, wielding a belt as freely as he worked the fields. The family toiled under the weight of poverty, their days consumed by labor and survival. Arkansas, with its sprawling cotton fields and stifling racial divides at the time, offered little reprieve. Young Sonny, large for his age and quiet by nature, bore the brunt of his father's cruelty, scars forming both on his body and within his spirit. By his mid-teens, life at home had become unbearable. Around 1945 or 1946, Sonny fled to St. Louis, Missouri, chasing a flicker of opportunity. But the city offered its own trials. Illiterate and unskilled, he fell into petty crime, robbing gas stations and diners to survive. In 1950, at around 20 years old, he was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in the Missouri State Penitentiary for armed robbery. Prison, however, became an unlikely turning point. There, a Catholic priest noticed Sonny's raw physical power, his massive hands and imposing frame, and introduced him to boxing. Behind bars, Sonny found a purpose. His fists, once tools of desperation, became instruments of destiny. Released in 1952, Sonny turned professional the following year. His boxing style was a reflection of his life, unrelenting, powerful, and intimidating. Standing 6'1" with an 84-inch reach, he wielded a jab like a battering ram and a left hook that could crumple opponents. By 1958, he was a top heavyweight contender. He had 50 wins, 39 by knockout, and only 4 losses. Yet his past clung to him like a shadow. Rumors of mob connections swirled, painting him as a thug in the eyes of a public that craved heroes. His stoic demeanor and criminal record didn't help. Sonny was no one's darling. In 1962, Sonny claimed the heavyweight crown, demolishing Floyd Patterson in a first-round knockout. The victory was a coronation, but not a celebration. The public, wary of his rough edges, withheld their adoration. He defended his title in a 1963 rematch, again downing Patterson in mere minutes, but the pinnacle of his career was short-lived. In 1964, a brash young fighter named Cassius Clay, soon to be Muhammad Ali, challenged him in Miami. Sonny, favored to win, shocked the world by quitting after the 7th round, claiming a shoulder injury. The fight's outcome sparked whispers of a fix, though no proof ever surfaced. The 1965 rematch was even stranger. Ali felled Sonny with a quick, debated phantom punch in the first round. The loss cemented suspicions, tarnishing Sonny's legacy further. Outside the ring, Sonny's life was a tangle of contradictions. He settled in Philadelphia and later Las Vegas, but stability eluded him. His mob ties, real or exaggerated, kept him under scrutiny. Arrests for minor offenses piled up, and struggles with alcohol and drugs deepened. To some, he was a gentle giant, loyal to friends and kind to children. To others, he was a menacing figure, forever tied to the underworld. The public never fully embraced him, and the boxing world moved on to Ali's charisma. In late December 1970, or perhaps early January 1971, Sonny's life ended as mysteriously as it began. His wife, Geraldine, found him dead in their Las Vegas home. His body was already decomposing. The official cause was a drug overdose, possibly heroin, though heart failure was also cited. Needle marks on his arm fueled speculation, but some whispered of foul play, pointing to his mob connections. He was around 40 years old, his birth date still unresolved even in death. Sonny was laid to rest at Davis Memorial Park, also known as Paradise Memorial Gardens, in Las Vegas, Nevada, near McCarran International Airport. His grave, in the Garden of Peace section, is marked by a simple bronze tablet inscribed with "A Man." Positioned under the flight path of arriving jets, it draws occasional visitors, a quiet testament to a turbulent life. The circumstances of Sonny Liston's death have spawned enduring conspiracy theories, fueled by his mob ties and the murky details of his final days. The leading theory suggests the mob orchestrated his death with a forced heroin overdose, possibly a hot dose to silence him. Liston's connections to figures like John Vitale and Frank Blinky Palermo made him a potential liability. Some, like biographer Rob Steen, argue he knew too much after his boxing career faded. Another theory claims Liston was killed for not throwing fights as instructed, either the 1965 Ali rematch or his final bout against Chuck Wepner, where he allegedly defied mob orders by winning. Some speculate Las Vegas police covered up a murder, supported by claims from boxing trainer Johnny Tocco that authorities knew Liston was dead days before Geraldine's discovery, possibly allowing evidence to decay. A 1982 tip to journalist Sean Asal even pointed to a rogue cop, Larry Gandy, as a hired killer, though unproven. Contrarily, the official report of heart failure or an accidental overdose is questioned due to Liston's needle phobia and minimal drug traces, with some attributing needle marks to a hospital IV from a recent car accident. Geraldine insisted Sonny never used drugs, suggesting murder or a misdiagnosed natural death. These theories, while compelling, lack definitive evidence, leaving Liston's death as enigmatic as his life. Sonny Liston's life was a paradox, a man of immense strength undone by circumstance, and a champion whose victories were overshadowed by suspicion. From the fields of Arkansas to the bright lights of the boxing ring, he carried the weight of his past, fighting not just opponents, but a world that never fully understood him. Sonny Liston's story is one of resilience. It was scarred by flaws and hardships, yet it reflects a man who rose from nothing, only to remain ensnared in the shadows.